I'm Luoma-Overstreet, and I'm a cadet at your academy. My dad worked for the State Department, and I was almost born in Mexico. He crossed the border right before I was born, so I ended up being born in California. Since then, I've lived in Mexico, Fiji, Nicaragua, Mexico again, Benin, South Africa, and the United States a little bit. At first, it's interesting to see that the way people act very differently. And there's always a culture shock between Africa, where you walk down the street and you say hello to everyone, and if you don't, you're considered someone rude. It was an amazing experience, and I loved getting a different sort of perspective on the United States. I heard about the Air Force Academy when I started looking up ways that I could actually go flying. I took a flying lesson with my dad, and he suggested, like, the Air Force Academy could be a neat place to continue that if you wanted to do that. It was definitely a difficult transition, and I still struggle with it at times. But I specifically wanted to have that transition because I wanted to see how I would hold up under it. It hasn't been too bad. Stop smiling. The first thing, and I heard that throughout the rest of basic training, just stop smiling. You've got to learn to be more serious. I thought it was also funny. It was also hard too, and it was kind of my defense mechanism, I guess. At the end of the day, like, I'm glad that I've done all of these things, and they're ultimately not a bad thing. And I think it's interesting to look at other people's perspectives on these things. But we've also got international cadets here who see things very differently and realize that, maybe we actually have it very easy compared to their country. And at the end of the day, we're all very lucky to be here. This is just something that you have to get through, that everyone else has done the same thing as you, that they're only 3 years older than you, and that they've all done it, that everyone else around you is probably going to make it through. If you just think about the fact that you'll be done in a few short weeks, it's not too hard. I especially remember getting to fly for the first time, when we get soaring rides, and we go up in a glider, and it was an amazing feeling. It was the first time I'd ever felt something like that, and I was looking around all confused in the sky. I didn't know what was happening, and I realized that, this is what it's about, that, like, whatever's happening during basic training doesn't actually really matter. I'll get through that in the end. This is why I'm here, that I'm here for something else. My high school prepared me very well for strictly the school stuff that we have to do. But at the same time, having to deal with a bunch of different things, all the military and physical stuff, in addition to the academic stuff, was definitely very new, and that was the harder transition. It was a scholars chemistry class, so the teacher just loved to hand out 50%, and like he took it as a joke. What I didn't know is that at the end of the year, a 60% would actually be an A. But he had us believing the entire time that we were all going to fail, and but he just said it with such a smile that you couldn't even be angry at him. I think it gets to a point where you just realize that it's ridiculous, that you're just so overloaded that it becomes funny. And I would get back to my room after school, after debate practice, and I would just sit down with my roommate and laugh, and we'd tell each other stories about whatever funny thing, whatever silly trouble we'd gotten in during the day. And all we could do was laugh and say, you know what, like, it'll be over soon, like, things will get better. I loved it, ultimately, freshman year. It was a ton of fun, and the academic stuff was what I expected of the academy, and I wanted something hard, and that's why I came here. I'm Luoma-Overstreet, and I'm a cadet at your academy.